Welcome, beautiful souls, to the Beyond the Belief podcast. I'm your host, Lavender Loveway. With each episode, I invite you personally to join me as we explore a belief. It might be a widely held idea or a forgotten truth, or perhaps even one that feels unknown or deeply contested. This is a sanctuary for exploration, a place to absorb, listen, and learn with an open heart. We're shedding the heaviness of right and wrong and ascending into the lightness of greater connection and expansive knowledge. Today's episode is no exception. This is another precious opportunity to find a little gem or two of wisdom that helps you reweave your own tapestry of truth. Something I have heard many times from many sources is that Earth is a school. Earth is a school. And when I was connecting with my guides, and this is something that I have done for probably a couple of months now, because I've been toying and chewing on and contemplating this Earth is a school kind of perspective. And I want to kind of introduce maybe something else to allow us to see it from a different light. I don't necessarily want to challenge it in saying that it's wrong, because I don't necessarily believe things are right and wrong. I think there's just different perspectives of things. And so for me, understanding and relating to that Earth is a school came through my guides as something that might not be what we think it is. My guides shared, it is not a traditional school like Earth School, like learning, that is not accurate. It is more on the experience. Anytime we're discussing a perspective, we're trying to use words to describe those things. So obviously, school, we can most immediately think about learning or being in an environment of experimentation, maybe understanding from instructors or teachers or guides, those that have been there before, been on the path before, or maybe are experts in their field. So we start to take some most immediate guesses as to what the phrase is meaning, that Earth is a school. But for me personally, where it started to kind of waver a little, change a little, is that how we relate to the word school can change the impact of what that actually means. My guides described it as this: think joy, think joyful play, think learning to experience something. And often the way I have seen, so myself schooling, I went through high school, all the way up to elementary and middle school, and then high school, in schools that were college prep schools. So they were very serious, and there was a lot of pressure, and there was a lot of homework, and the books were really heavy. So it was a lot to carry. And then I went to college and I earned my bachelor's degree, which was seen as the quote only way to succeed and to get a good paying job. And this has a lot to do with when I went to school. But if we're talking about what my guides introduced about play and joy and learning to experience something, that was not my experience of school. My experience of school was intense and deadlines and multiple choice exams, or at worst, essay exams, professors that aren't very present. Maybe others that were super passionate to the point where you had to do it their way. There was no other way. So if I think about my experience with school, and then I layer that into saying that Earth is a school, do I want to go to that school? Can I? What? Like, hang on a second. I signed up for this? Wait a second. And this is the foundational, I guess, perspective of my perspective. In that how we relate, I do not believe in my heart that Earth is set up to be an intense, highly structured, only one way or no way place, that instead this is about exploration and experimentation. I think about when I'd take science classes and you'd have some sort of lab or laboratory class. To me, the lab was the most fun because it's like, okay, I get to test things out. I get to see how things react. I get to see how, certain elements are together. But to me, that plays into what my guides were saying as far as the learning to experience something. But then there was a grade attached, and I better get a certain grade or I can't pass, and then I can't move forward. So it becomes more restrictive and more methodical and linear than it is about actual experience. And I believe this is when we start seeing Earth and our experience here of perceiving our life journeys, wherever they've taken us and wherever we're going, as instead a struggle. It is a struggle rather than play. It is a struggle rather than experiencing, enjoying, taking it all in. And what my guides ended up expanding on this subject as I continue to inquire is that it's actually our ego's need to control that then labels and creates this illusion of burden. My guides shared, humans take it so seriously. It is punishment. It is difficulty, heaviness, burden. Those are the ego trying to define, trying to put the energy in a box so that it can be controlled. Holy free holies, right? Preaching the truth right there. I'm like, because we're trying to relate to it. And by golly, trying to put that energy into a box so it can be controlled. Wow, that's humbling. But instead, what if we looked at Earth as an experience, a playful experience? Because to me, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just an experience. It just is. So if everything is about play, and it can be playful and joyful, and we can see things through what happens when we select certain things or take certain paths or put two elements together, what happens? It's an experience. There's not a grade to it. It's not going to come through with a professor who's going to go line by line to understand your formula and mixing and judging. No, my friends, it's just an experience. It is what you chose. And then how was it? Was it fabulous? And you want to experience something similar in a joyous capacity? Or don't ever want to do that again? And funny enough, Neil Donald Walsh talks about this specific parallel. Thank you guys, as this is dropping in. Then when we have something that's great, so let's say the formula was great and it was fantastic, well, then we want that exact formula every single time. There is no deviation. And so then we start to control it. We start to develop expectations around it. And then it has to happen exactly in those 17 steps, in that exact order, in that exact duration, because that brought us joy. So we need to do that again. And it's like, wait a second. We could be strangling the joy right out of it. What if it's even better next time? It's kind of like going to your favorite restaurant and you know the dish that you want and you like, but it must be exactly the same. And if it is not exactly the same, it is mush. It is nothing. What if they tweaked the recipe where it's even better? I like how my mouth's getting watery right now. Like, what if it's creamier or more delicious or sweeter or has the buttery finish that you always wished it had, but you loved what it was before? What about that? That's us trying to control. That's our ego trying to get in the middle of the meddling. What about the experience? What about the experience for your tongue? Allowing it to be whatever the ingredients are. Maybe something is shifted and it's better, or maybe something shifted and it's not as good. But maybe that brings out a different flavor that you didn't even know existed in there. Perspective. So as I speak about this with you in this gorgeous moment of now, allow this to be an invitation to approach this with profound curiosity and experimentation. What if life was a joy experiment? What about it is an experiment of sometimes polarity, the extremes of a situation, the absolute dichotomy of choice? But what if there was no weight of judgment on it? What if it just was? Well, I am choosing this and this is what it is. Well, I am putting these elements together. We're going to see what happens. Maybe it'll be a big bang, or maybe it'll be a big bang. I won't know until I try it. What if we saw and shifted our experience to that? And as my guides shared, remember, all is play. Let's see how this feels. Let's see how this pans out. Let's see what this invites in. Let's see what this expands. Let's see what this contracts. It is all play. It is all play, my friends. And for me, this is when I see that Earth is not a school in the way that we here in this lovely 3D world have developed school to be. It is all a joyous experience of play. And we can agree, sometimes in play, when we used to play house, or my brother and I, we'd play Turtles and Barbies. We're choosing to have an experience. And maybe today, Malibu Barbie gets to be in charge. And tomorrow, Donatello gets to be in charge, right? Like, there are things that shift the experience, but it's just play. It's not, let's see if Donatello can get this right, and let's make sure Malibu Barbie doesn't make a mistake, because we got to get him to the other side, because they got to learn this, because they have to prove by a test that ensures they know the experience, which I will tell y'all, as a former recruiter, just because someone has a 4.0 does not mean that they are competent in what they've learned. It could mean they're book smart. It could mean they know how to take a test. It could mean that they were very diligent in their studies. But when they get into the actual workforce or they get into the actual job, do they know how to do it? No, that's where on-the-job learning comes, right? Even if you've got a lot of schooling, which sometimes you got to have the schooling under your belt. This is an experience. This is not a school. And what I want to invite in with this conversation is redefining what quote, quote, learning means. What does it truly mean? I would like to invite in this new context. It's not about passing tests. It's about embodying. It's about awareness. It's about understanding. It's about observation. Growth can still happen in this type of learning. It might be more organic. We might have more success. We might have more ability to see both ends of the spectrum. So what I'd like to invite for you and I is to unlearn what we think it means to focus on observation of an experience, to see things through. As those words, I think, reflected a little bit better. Observation, joy, playfulness. And as my guides affectionately reminded me, there is no good word, at least in English, that accurately, holistically, conceptually helps us understand what Earth is. But if we take it from a very linear standpoint of what school has become, or at least currently is, or has been in most of our experiences, beautiful Earth and this joyous play is not school. It is observation. It is experience. It is play. And those are the closest words that my guides could provide. So invite in joy. Invite in curiosity. Invite in freedom. Experiencing. Those are the very essence of who we are as beings. And in embodying more of those things that we are, we allow and invite in the magical experiences of what those things bring. And yes, there may be some that don't choose joy, don't choose curiosity, don't choose freedom. But that is also an experience. And maybe they are wanting and seeking to experience that. And on this gorgeous planet currently, that is able to be experienced, right? We can choose those things. But from this moment on, I will refer to it as experiencing and learning. It is a place of joy, curiosity, and freedom. And I'm so grateful to be here on this beautiful planet with you.